Hey everybody, and welcome back to Crafting with Krakens. I am your favorite Dungeon Master, DM Andy, and today I'm going to build the most hated terrain ever, the L-shaped walls. I got this styrofoam out of a TV box, and I'm going to use it as my substrate for my brick walls. It didn't really fit in my Proxxon hot wire foam table, so I had to turn the piece as I cut it. Then I just used the hot wire to shape my walls. I wanted kind of a triangle, not necessarily a triangle, but I didn't want it to look completely straight angles. There aren't any straight angles in nature. This kind of styrofoam doesn't take texture very well. You can work with it, but I like XPS foam better. But since I'm using this for the inside of my wall, the interior substrate, I just went ahead and dry fit those together, then got out the hot glue gun, pumped a little hot glue out, and started my walls. Hot glue is a little more expensive for projects like this, but it dries faster than white glue or PVA glue, so you won't have as much trouble making your connections set up. I did find that hot glue adds a little weight to the walls made out of foam, and that keeps them from sliding around as much. So, still, the preference is yours. But from here, once I've got these set up, I'm going to move over to the Proxxon hot wire foam table. Now this is a long and tedious process. I had to cut out about 1 million bricks. So I got this 2x2 sheet of XPS foam, the blue kind. I don't know if there's a difference between the blue and the pink, but I've seen a few other content creators say that one of them holds texture better, but I'm not sure which is which. So what I've done is I've edited down the video to cut out about the 2-hour process of cutting out the bricks. Brick size is completely up to you. Go ahead and make the bricks the way you want them for the walls you're building. Sometimes you want chunkier, thicker bricks. Sometimes you want tiny bricks. Sometimes you just mix them up and make cool brick patterns. If you were going to make floors, take an XPS foam board and make an entire floor out of it, you could get away with using all sorts of bricks. Now, once your bricks are all cut out, I like to put them in a Rubbermaid container with a rock and some aluminum foil balls and shake them up real good. That's the fastest way to texture these. It just cuts out part of the process of rolling an aluminum foil ball around on your walls after you've got them all glued together. It also can't hurt to just crush them up in your hand a little bit before you actually glue them on. I try to do everything I can to give them as much texture as possible. One thing I've noticed, a little off topic, but something I've noticed recently is I hadn't bought XPS foam in a while because I've had so much just in back stock from other projects. But when I went to get these 2x2 sheets were almost $20 a piece. I didn't use very much to make the bricks because the bricks are so small. I probably maybe used $2 worth of XPS foam at about $20 a board. But just take that into consideration when you're doing this. You can also do this with cardboard food stock. It just takes a little longer, and you've got to use a cutting knife to cut all that down. I've got a neat paper cutting tool that makes it easier, but then you still got to cut the strips with a pair of scissors. I usually try to do these projects as cheaply as possible, but sometimes you got to use what you got. All right, now here's a look at the wall, all bricked up and ready to go to the paint shop. I'm going to turn it around so you can see the inside. If you notice, I tried as hard as I could to make brick patterns, but every once in a while the bricks get out of order and you just make do. All right, I'm going to start by airbrushing. It's XPS foam, so you can't use spray paint. Spray paint will melt the foam, the styrofoam, and the XPS foam. Now, if you wanted some kind of hazard, ruined building that had been hit by a bomb or some kind of magical wave of energy, the spray paint can work out really well on foam. But for this project, I want the walls to maintain some of their integrity, and I don't want it to look that damaged. Because occasionally you can use these walls as interior walls as well as ruined walls. Sometimes they just act as walls that dissolve in the background to define the area your players are playing in. So I'm going to keep these just airbrushed, and I'm not going to use any spray paint. Now, if you watch my channel, you know I'm new to airbrushing. And this is my very first scatter terrain foam piece that I've ever airbrushed. So, starting off, I'm having a little bit of trouble. But for those of you who've never seen one, this is the airbrush compressor I got. I got all this a couple of Christmases ago, but I didn't really know how to use it. Now, the compressor is pretty simple. You just hook the hose up to the compressor, hook the compressor up to the gun, and then you add these paints. It came with these model paints, airbrush paints actually, and they work really, really well, but I haven't used very much of them because I've been using other types of airbrush paints and even craft paints. Here I started with some paint that I didn't really like, so I switched over to old school acrylic craft paint. Now, the only downside to acrylics, you can use them in your airbrush regardless of what people say. You have to get an airbrush thinner. You have to thin these paints down. They're really thick and they can very easily clog your airbrush. Then you're going to have a bunch of wasted time trying to clean and fix your airbrush, and you could be using that time to get more crafting done. Because let's be honest, the faster you get this stuff done, the faster you can get it on the table, and the faster you can get your players to start playing the game and enjoying the adventure. Now, if you've noticed, I've had to refill my airbrush several times trying to base coat this piece. So, once I realized that, I was moving on to other pieces, so I went ahead and filled it up really, really well, got it good and thin with my paint thinner, and it made coating these way faster. Don't underestimate how much paint you're going to need. You're going to need a lot. Also, try to remember that you're going to need to hit it from several different angles. Because the way the brick pattern works, you're going to have to hit it from below, hit it from above, and then hit it from side to side. Then I found myself actually going back and actually re-coating the seams of the bricks. Turns out because of the hot glue, if you don't really get those seams covered, you can see the blue and white through the plastic of the hot glue between the bricks. So just make sure you base coat it really well before you move on to any added colors and accents. Okay, so I need to take a minute and apologize because I left out an entire step that I've just forgot to film. Once I got this completely base coated, I used some of the light gray and dark gray, and I went around the edges like highlighting it, but I completely forgot to record it. So when you see this piece in the next few steps, you'll notice that it's not solid black, and that's just because I airbrushed the top and the sides and forgot to film it. I apologize. All right, let's move on to the next step. Here, as you'll see, I used a cheap dollar store makeup brush. You've probably seen me use this on 40K miniatures and all kinds of things. I just squirt a little out, rub a little off, and then wipe as much paint off on a dry washcloth as I can before I strike at the scatter terrain. I've noticed that some people actually have spare pieces of scatter terrain that they use first so they can see how much paint is on the brush so they don't mess up anything they've been working on. If you're good at it, go ahead and just start dry brushing. But if you need some practice, make a few pieces that are just that. They're practice pieces. You'll find that it goes a long way to take a few stabs at it. Now, go ahead and take a really good look at what you can see because I didn't get it in frame very well because once again, I'm learning to create content even though I've got like 50 videos. I still am not very good at it. I don't have a high quality camera and I don't do a very good job of staying in frame because I get too excited about the pieces I'm building and how much I enjoy them. So don't be like Dungeon Master Andy. Keep everything in frame. And don't forget to film everything you're doing. Turns out content creation is kind of tough. I thought I'd be good at it. I thought it would be a lot of fun. And it is. It's just really hard to remember everything you need to do all by yourself. Now, if you stuck it out with me this far, you are one of my favorite people in the whole world. Please like, subscribe, and enjoy more of my channel. And as always, I am your favorite Dungeon Master, DM Andy, saying thanks for hanging out, you guys. I'll see you next time.